this might get buried with me. And it does this. More on that. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Plastic Soul, the Entertainment Earth pop culture show. I'm your host, Jason Lindsay. I am a big fan of Ultraman. That's right, I said it. Ultraman. You must have heard of him. I remember him as a kid, like the show kind of showing up now and then. I know I saw some of it way back when. But it was more the character was just always kind of around. It seemed to always be out there in toy stores, in pop culture, in magazines, certainly in things like Starlog and different sci-fi magazines that I was looking at as a kid, as a youth. And it just was always a thing. Like, I didn't know enough about it. I discovered it more as time went on. But it was more the character, the look, the design, the figures, these vinyl figures that would be at toy shows and just kind of a perennial, like Halloween costumes and just different bits of ephemera. When all the new Blu-ray sets came out for all the Ultraman shows, I really started to get into them. I got each set as it came out and watched the progression from Ultraman, on up. It's been a fascinating journey because it's a crazy show. It's completely insane, and it's really, 30-minute format. The same stuff happens each time. Cities under siege, team of the Ultra Team, whatever it's called, gets together and tries to stop these creatures, and one of the dudes has a special device and really is Ultraman and keeps it quiet from the rest of the team. But the design and the ships and the uniforms and just the creatures, I mean, it's pretty violent, I have to say. Like, I feel bad for a lot of the monsters. I mean, I've always kind of felt bad for the monsters. If you've watched any of these and heard me talk about Godzilla and the Toho stuff, like, at a certain point, they're just trying to get by, man. And, they don't want to get hassled. And they're just doing their thing as monsters. And bad stuff happens. Well, in Ultraman, bad stuff happens to all these monsters all the time. Like, arms get cut off, bodies get sliced in half, heads come off. We're not talking about like bloody Texas Chainsaw Massacre type, gore or terror. Just implied. I mean, you see it, but it's a big old monster, so whatever. But I really started to get attracted to the designs and the ideas and everything, especially Ultra 7. And by the way, this is going to come into play soon. Ultra 7 might be my favorite of the Ultra shows because of the design of the uniforms of the team and the ships and everything else. First show has these guns. And Bandai, a few years ago, made these guns as a toy prop replica. I love it because when you pull the trigger, it makes monster sounds, right? But each time you pull it, it makes a different monster sound. I mean, endless days and nights of fun. Me alone in my home playing with this thing, it's fantastic. Comes with different attachments and does all kinds of things. We'll get to that. But the thing I didn't know originally when I started to get into the Ultra shows was there was a show that kind of spawned them all, which was called Ultra Q. And it was a black and white series that they did prior to the first Ultraman that kind of started the whole universe going. And really, it kind of seemed like the Japanese answer to Twilight Zone because the stories were more eerie and maybe a little X-Files-ish kind of. There were monsters and creatures in them and different kinds of myths and things like that. But man, did I fall in love with that show. So that I kind of went backwards. I went to Ultraman, then Ultra 7, and somebody said, "Oh, you got to get Ultra Q." And I went, "Oh, okay, what's that about?" And I went backwards and did that and just fell in love with it. The shows get goofier as they go, and they get more, I suppose, more kiddie oriented, and they get a little more complicated with the Ultra Team and who all these characters are and stuff. But if you were going to start with any of them, I would say start with Ultra 7. Of course, they have never stopped making Ultraman merchandise, Bandai especially. There's ultra posable figures, there's vinyl figures. There's all the rogues gallery of monsters and creatures that are in all these shows. You know, rivals Batman's rogues gallery, or the best Marvel villains, or whatever. The designs are fantastic. Mego has done some 8-inch figures for several of the Ultraman shows, and of course there's a ton of stuff getting made all the time. But this, I think, is my favorite new Ultraman thing. I've had it for a couple years, but you know, every now and then it just kind of gives me comfort because, right? Different monster sounds. I don't know who the sounds belong to. I just know I can keep pulling that trigger and it's going to keep rewarding me with different monster sounds. Anyway, this might get buried with me, and it does this. Maybe hit like and subscribe, and you know, tell me what your favorite Japanese monster things are, or whatever. To me, it's all part of the same soup. You know, the men in suits, the monster things, that whole world. They're interchangeable sometimes. I mean, Godzilla's where it's at, and all those guys, but they're all kind of the same soup. That's how I look at it. So let me know what your favorite stuff is. And please also don't forget to subscribe to the Entertainment Earth email newsletter to stay up to date on all of your pop culture needs. I'm going to leave you alone for now. In the meantime, I'm going to start. Oh, that's Baltan. Oh, that's Jimmy Choo. Yeah, that's a famous monster. All right, see you soon. Playing with this.